What's up, witches? It's me, Luna, with a reading of the full moon chart for October 9th, 2022. This happens at 4:54 p.m. in the Eastern Time Zone, so adjust for your time zone, please. As ever, we start down in the bottom right corner with the elements and modes, and we see we're still running on a massive deficit here as far as water goes. The only water position here is Neptune in Pisces, representing. But we see that we have a strong predominance of air and an equally strong predominance of cardinal, which is the signature for Libra. So with the Sun and Venus sitting in Libra, this whole chart has that Libra chart signature. Libra and Taurus are both ruled by Venus. With Taurus, it's about physical pleasure, what appeals to my senses. With Venus ruling Libra, an air sign, it's more about what is pleasing to my mind. So we're talking about social interactions, how we communicate, how we spend time with each other, how we share pleasure and in social situations, in the company of other people, how we kind of balance ourselves out so that our interactions are fair. Libra is all about diplomacy and negotiation and keeping the balance and keeping the peace. Sun in Libra here is conjuncting Venus. So this really brings in another layer of our value system and how we express that value system in a diplomatic way, in a balanced way, in a socially aware way. And then we go to the moon opposing in Aries. Moon in Aries makes for hot-headed emotions. Cardinal signs react in the now, but then they get over it quickly. So this could be a little bit hot-headed, but we get over it. And very expressive since it's opposing the sun. And here's where the conflict comes in. Moon in Aries is like, I'm feeling this and I got to let it out. And then opposing the sun is like, oh shit, did I go too far? Am I hurting your feelings? You know, there's that awareness of the reaction of the other. Moon conjuncts Chiron. So this brings in the nature of our woundedness. And as I've been talking about for a while now, our collective woundedness represented by Chiron and Aries is all around this warlike planet and how extreme things have gotten right now as far as war and the threats that are being made. And it's just really, really oppressive. So we've got the moon conjuncting Chiron, and it says that we need to address the emotions that we're having around this collective wound. We have to express our personal emotions. And the Aries-Libra polarity really is about mine versus yours, me versus you. And since it's opposition, I do choose that word versus because we feel like we're in opposition. So we've got to deal with our own emotions here. And then the Sun-Venus conjunction is talking about our broader values, societal values. And I want to bring in here these green lines. These are inconjuncts. We've got the Sun inconjuncting Uranus and the North Node, and then we've got Venus inconjuncting the North Node. It's a little wide to connect with Uranus there. The Sun-Uranus inconjuncts call for adjustment. Something needs adjusted. So Sun in Libra talks about our personal expression of values. What are my personal values? And then Uranus there is talking about humanitarian things. And with the North Node in there, we're talking about the way forward. So I think here the Sun-Venus conjunction really brings our personal values to the forefront, but we need to adjust that with the values that we hold for humanity. You know, we need to adjust our own personal values sometimes for the greater good is how I'm reading that. That you know, while it's in the spotlight, we really need to filter our personal desires, our loves, our, you know, the social interaction that we want, and adjust it according to what's going to be best for the greater good, what's going to move us forward. So I'm thinking about, like in the early days of COVID, when we're talking about social interactions. Okay, yeah, I want to get together and party with my friends, but for the greater good, we had to curtail our social activities, and we had to, wear masks and things like that. So this is that kind of thing. How much am I willing to adjust my personal value system according to what's best for the collective? Sun Uranus in conjunct also with the Sun in Libra is about the conflict between me working for peace and things being good and wonderful in my social interactions, and the rebelliousness of Uranus. So it can talk about how far we are willing to go against the grain, Uranus, how far we're willing to rebel. Are we willing to rebel in order to move forward, or are we too concerned about what other people are going to think of us? That's the Sun in Libra here. Well, what do people think of me? Libra is always very concerned about the other. So what are people going to think versus I need to bust a move and go against the grain here? So you can ask yourself that question. How far out am I willing to go? And how much does other people's opinions affect me when it comes to stepping outside of the norm and forging a new trail forward? All right, what else do we have here? We've got Mercury opposing Neptune. That is a little wide, so maybe we won't talk so much about it, but the Mercury-Jupiter opposition is there still, and that just says that we can really spout off, so we need to filter our words. And yeah, so I was thinking that the moon in Aries is also very hot-headed, expressing emotions, and with the Mercury-Jupiter opposition, we could get a little too verbal with that. So this is, this Aries predominance, Jupiter, Chiron, and Moon. Again, strong cardinal just means reactive. People are going to be reactive. Let's pull Saturn in here. We have Saturn trining the Sun. This can help to bring in an element of responsibility and a little bit of structure and a little bit of healthy limitation in our personal expression. Saturn sextiles the Moon. So it says when we take responsibility that way, when we hold back a little bit, then we can it opens up an opportunity to express our emotions in a socially appropriate and responsible way. So that's a good thing. Let's look at Mars squaring Neptune. This could set up I know I've talked about this before, so many things repeat. This can make it so we get a little bit aggressive about escapism. And Mars in Gemini can talk about scattering your energies. Mars is motivation and what we drive for, but Gemini likes variety, and as a mutable sign is very changeable. So it can be difficult to focus in our energies, and when we square it to Neptune, we can just feel like our motivation absolutely evaporates. Neptune, the dissolver. And what that can then translate into is, okay, fuck it, I'm just going to escape. And we want to make sure that our escapes are responsible, that, you can escape into movies, you can escape into music, into art, into, wonderful things like that. Try not to escape into the things that are going to do you harm, like drugs and alcohol, also ruled by Neptune. Let me see if I left anything out here. I think we've talked about it all. We have the Pluto Mercury trine. It's separating now. Mercury is moving beyond. So again, we have the ability to change our minds, to transform the way we're thinking about things, and to transform our processes with Mercury and Virgo. And let's mention the fact that Pluto is stationary direct here. So we have had Pluto retrograde since the end of April, I think it was, and that really drives things underground as far as this transformative energy that Pluto brings. Remember that Pluto is also force and dominance and inevitability and extremism. And so I'm glad it doesn't take any more aspects here. With Mercury, it's just another chance to transform our process. How do we go about things, and how do we communicate that process? How do we serve as well? Virgo is service. Mercury in Virgo is certainly the logistics of service. So these things can be transformed. And we'll see, as planets start to turn direct here, we still have Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune retrograde. As things start turning direct, we start seeing things coming out and available for us in a practical way to work with. So, we've got so many things working right now with the threat of nuclear weapons coming from Russia. Pluto certainly represents that. With Pluto going direct, let's hope that the retrograde was showing us the empty threats and, the seeking dominance, and maybe it going direct now will help that to transform in some way. Keep your fingers crossed. Okay, I think that might be all I have to say. Certainly, if you're working magic on this and doing spell work, work with your value system, work with your personal emotions to get those processed and cleared so that you can turn your attention to the collective, to what the best way forward for humanity is, and how you can transform your process in order to aid that, that motion forward for humanity. Okay? All right. Thank you so much for listening. If you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't done that already. Share it with somebody that you think might enjoy it too. I will see you soon. Until then, this is Luna. Blessed be.